Hey everybody, it's Jenna. I'm here today with a tiny theory about the Lanterns HBO series based on the newest casting announcement. On Wednesday, reports indicated that Paul Ben-Victor has been cast in the recurring role of Anton, who is described as, quote, an extraterrestrial devoted to exposing the truth and exacting vengeance against those who wronged his people. Consumed by a deep and unrelenting hatred for the law, he is determined to deliver justice on his own terms. The confirmation of him being an extraterrestrial definitely gets the gears turning, especially because Anton is a character who does not exist in the comics. I've seen a number of people theorizing, myself included, that the character could really be Atrocitus, which would have major ramifications on the story, if true. Created by Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver in 2008's Green Lantern number 25, Atrocitus starts out as a man named Atros, whose life with his wife and children was upended when the Manhunters, the slightly problematic precursor to the Lantern Corps, attacked his home sector. He and the other remaining survivors of his sector then dedicated their lives to getting revenge on the Guardians of the Universe, who created both the Manhunters and the Lantern Corps. After the Guardians imprisoned them on a desolate planet, Atrocitus struck up a bond with Abin Sur, Hal Jordan's predecessor as the Green Lantern of Earth's sector. Atrocitus was then partially responsible for Abin Sur's death, which led to Hal getting the Green Lantern mantle. Atrocitus then became a founding member of what would eventually become the Red Lantern Corps, whose rings are fueled by their hatred instead of their willpower, and became hell-bent on bringing to life a cosmic prophecy known as the Blackest Night. To do this, he targeted and kidnapped a man named William Hand, also known as Hal's recurring villain Black Hand, before Sinestro and Hal stopped him. From there, Atrocitus' story ebbs and flows into events like Final Crisis, as well as the inevitable Blackest Night and Brightest Day. The description of Ben Victor's character wanting to, quote, expose truth and, quote, exact revenge fits Atrocitus' deal perfectly. Although, to be honest, you could make a laundry list of characters that either the Guardians or the Lantern Corps have wronged. With Sinestro, Hal, and John Stewart all in play in Lanterns, and Garrett Dillahunt's character also being named William, it wouldn't be impossible to imagine a remixed version of that conflict over William Hand happening in the show. The early reporting about Lanterns has stressed that the show doesn't adapt one specific comic, but is, quote, steeped in the spirit and arcana of the comic canon, so folding these events in with the hard-traveling heroes vibes of the show's premise would definitely do that. And of course, there's the Blackest Night of it all, a massive event that, upon its publication in 2009 and 2010, consumed the vast majority of the DC universe and led to a number of dead characters being resurrected. Again, we have no idea at this point if this character is Atrocitus, much less if his arrival is going to lead to Blackest Night being some massive Lanterns-wide or DCU-wide event down the line. But it would definitely be ballsy given how beloved the event is among comic fans, particularly millennials, and given how ambitious some of its events are. The closest we've gotten to Blackest Night being adapted into another medium was an Arrowverse crossover that never came to pass after The Flash had to retool its plans for what was now its final season. As The Flash showrunner Eric Wallace put it at the time, quote, back in season 8, we set up the Blackest Night storyline with Deathstorm. When Deathstorm was defeated, the emotional vibrations went all the way back to the Netherverse and another dimension to Necron, who's right out of the comic books. I wanted to have that one final big, huge, epic crossover, getting everybody, if you're on a show or not, back together for that storyline. What that would have allowed me to do is bring back characters that are dead. Even with the DCU still in its very early days, and again, no confirmation whatsoever that it's building towards Blackest Night, I do think it could hypothetically use a version of that story to say some really interesting things about reboots and character deaths and finality, and all of the ways that fandom kind of gets in the way of all of that. I'm also simultaneously in the camp that whatever Hal and John discover in Lanterns ends up being tied to the Center, which could theoretically lead to the DCU's take on the New Frontier. So we'll just have to wait and see what the future ultimately holds. Either way, if we do end up getting Atrocitus, I also hope we get Dexter. Are you excited for Lanterns? What do you think of this new theory? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends if you haven't already done so. Merch is available at the link in the description. As always, you can find me on social media at Hey It's Jenna Lynn. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, go read some comics.